I want to give a shout out to the people of Charlotte, North Carolina, on how you all have positively assembled your passion and your energy to confront the systemic discrimination within your police department. I have lived in Charlotte and have been a victim of aversive racism, racial micro insults, and racial micro invalidations that plagues your city and your county's police force. Before I continue, let me be clear. It is not just Charlotte that has this epidemic, as we are seeing every day on a continual basis. As one that has resided in your city, has been racially profiled, pulled over for driving while black, and unjustly arrested for not having a valid ID on my persons as I'm walking down the street, I know firsthand how traumatic those experiences with those in blue can be. Hell, I still have flashbacks of Officer Hamill and his partner that remained silent as this atrocity took place with me. As I was walking down the street to the convenience store in 2011, 2012, a day after Thanksgiving, to the Exxon to ask those people when their next group or crew was coming in, because the day before I had left some items that I had purchased because there was a disagreement going on between a black customer and a white worker. Me trying to keep the peace, I forgot to pick up my items. So I simply went down to ask the people when the next shift was coming in. When I spoke to the African American lady, it was like she couldn't understand what I was saying. So she told me to ask this white gentleman that was beside her, wasn't a gentleman, because he basically spit in my face because he was drinking. He had been drinking. He reeked of alcohol. And he yelled at me and told me he didn't want to hear it and asked me to leave the vicinity. Now, I said politely, with all due respect, sir, you haven't heard my question. He yelled at me again and said, as he's spitting in my face, because again, he's been drinking, so it's just saliva's popping out everywhere. If you don't leave the store, I'm going to call the police. Now, me, not thinking that I had done anything wrong, said to him something like, sir, I haven't done anything wrong. I'm simply asking you a question. If you feel that you have to call the police for that, I understand. Okay. Now again, even though I'm in America KKK, I know that I've remained calm. I know that I haven't done anything disrespectful. I know that I haven't broken the law. So surely, even if they do come and they're white, surely when I say what's going on and what has happened, they're going to err on the side of what is righteous. Because, unfortunately, two white male cops came. One was an arrogant, condescending, prejudiced officer by the name of Hamill. And the other didn't really say too much at all. Now, Hamill goes to speak to the white man who smells of alcohol, while the other officer continues to speak with me and a worker named Mike, who I had interacted with 3 or 4 days in a row because I was living at that hotel. Now, as I'm talking to the officer, and I had been respectful to him during the conversation, having an honest, non-threatening conversation about my background as an in-home therapist, that I was working on completing my degree, master's degree, in industrial and organizational psychology, with an emphasis on what? Organizational diversity and social change. We were also talking about why people in my community did not trust people that looked like them, because of people that was acting like an Officer Hamill. Now, unfortunately, Officer Hamill comes over after listening to the intoxicated white man who reeked of alcohol. He came and insulted me. He antagonized me and said something to the effect that if it's all about a black and mild, I'll give you the money for a black and mild. Now, of course, I chuckle because I say to him respectfully, I don't really smoke black and milds. I literally smoke DeJarm cloves, but convenience stores don't really have those. So therefore, I purchased that yesterday, and I simply wanted to get my item that I'd already purchased the day before. He got smug with me when I made that comment, and I said to him respectfully, that is why we don't communicate with you all very well, because here you are coming in and insulting me and antagonizing me, and it's like you are wanting to make me angry. It's like you're wanting to cause me to become irate, as if you want a reason to shoot me, as if you want a reason to arrest me. To me, those are examples of aversive racism. Now, when I said aversive racism, his face got beet red. Then he asked for my name, my ID. He asked why I was there, even though we'd already discussed that. He was so flustered because here I am speaking intelligently to him, and I'm a sister with locks. So he's assuming that I am going to be an angry black woman. No. I don't think he banked on the fact of my intelligence, of the fact that I had more other cops that looked like him that also tried to do the same thing that he attempted to do. So literally, been there and done that. It seemed to upset him because I didn't respond the way that he had wanted me to respond. Now, I'm saying to him that because you're antagonizing me, because you are intimidating me, I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling very unsafe, that I don't feel comfortable with even talking with you anymore because I don't know where this is coming from. I was having a good conversation with your officer along with Mike, and then you come in and start accusing me and making fun and antagonizing me, and sir, that's not appropriate. That's not fair. Now, he told me that if I did not produce my ID, that I would be arrested for failure to comply. Guess what? I was arrested for failure to comply because I did not walk to the store from the hotel with a valid ID, seeing as how I was not purchasing anything that required an ID. Who would have thunk I would have been hauled off like chattel? Oh, that's right. I'm black in America. Breathing while black in America is now dangerous. What was I thinking? As he ran my information through his system, of course there was nothing there because as I attempted on multiple occasions to share with him that I worked in health and human services with children and families specifically, so I had to keep a clean record. He, being an aversive racist, one who is cognitively dissonant, assumed again that a sister with locks that's on Queen City Boulevard could not be who she is claiming to be. But when he saw nothing came up, he should have let me go, right? Of course, I said that. Since you see that I am who I say I am, you can let me go, right? His response, nope, can't do that. Of course, my response is, of course, you could, but you won't, because you and others that look like you are protected by man-made laws to subject people like me to this and other things, because nothing happens to you. So why should you do what is righteous when you are covered by white man-made laws? You're exerting your whiteness and privilege has just ruined my career, that your people tell me that if I keep my nose clean and be productive, I wouldn't have to worry about losing. Such an American KKK, and you wonder why we don't trust you? His response, he smugged. to put the icing on the cake, an older white woman who was a waitress at Cracker Barrel right next door came to Officer Hamill's car window and said something to the effect of, "We just want to thank you for your continued service and dedication to keeping our community safe." Then also snubbed her nose at me, who was handcuffed in the back seat. Right. Needless to say, I was arrested for not having a valid ID, booked and kept in a police station the day after Thanksgiving. And I can assure you, it was a traumatic experience that I still have challenges with. Fortunately, because of my personal relationships with some officers who truly love what they do, are fair and just in their treatment of every civilian, I know there are some decent people who authentically uphold their duty to protect and to serve. Unfortunately, there is an inherited professional code that keeps those decent cops silent when injustices take place, as with the other officer who I had been talking with before Officer Hamill's arrogance and condescending demeanor overrode the conversation. If the other officer had taken Hamill to the side and been honest with him about my entire demeanor as he, Mike the worker, and I were having, and it had been polite and cordial and respectful, I would like to think that I would not have been unjustly arrested just because I was black, just because I'm breathing while black. At any rate, my case continued, and in March it was voluntarily dismissed, but I still have this on my record, and according to the legal aid office, I have to spend hundreds of dollars that I don't have to get the charge expunged. But that doesn't necessarily guarantee that once I get it expunged, it will be completely removed from cyberspace, depending on the system that is being utilized to research my background. Now, this sounds different. Sounds like this couldn't have happened. Surely Keyshawn must have been mistaken or who knows what. I would encourage whomever listening to this to go back and rewatch the movie Crash, Crash. It has a stellar amount of actors such as like Sandra Bullock or Thandie Newton, Terrence Howard, even Ludacris is in it. It literally epitomizes what is occurring today with cognitive dissonance, aversive racism, cognitive distortions, police brutality, their abuse of authority, and the psychological trauma a person suffers as an outcome to these types of mistreatments. Just like the character Ryan Phillippe portrayed in Crash as the police officer alongside Matt Dillon's character, who was an abusive, angry police officer, Officer Hamill's partner, his silence gave Hamill permission to abuse his authority, to antagonize and intimidate me, then falsely arrest me because I spoke of feeling fearful due to his aversive and prejudiced behaviors. I was victimized because I was breathing while black. And heaven forbid me actually have a question. Heaven forbid me actually exert my what they call civil right in a respectful manner. I shouldn't even be heard, let alone seen. This is what he let me know by his behaviors. I wanted to share with you and others about how systemic racism, systemic discrimination can tarnish a person's record and it can continue to follow them for the rest of their lives, even though they might not have done anything. But because they are breathing while black, this is what could happen. And that's by design. What Hamill anticipated, again, was for me to become hostile and angry and combative, so that if he tased me, he would be justified for his behavior. Unfortunately, I did not do what he expected me to do, but my reward was a charge of failure to comply. Now, respectfully, I think people like you in Charlotte, we stand with you in solidarity. Your courage, your strength, and determination will peacefully bring about systemic changes that reflect equality, transparency, and accountability. Your public policies and practices have to authentically represent the diversity, valuing, and inclusion you all, the people of the Queen City, have displayed to the world for years. We can no longer continue to be in a constant state of fear of those sworn to protect and serve all people, not just a select few. So again, we thank you. We are praying for you. We are praying with you. And we know together we will make America great. It has never been great, so therefore it's not an again. We will make America great. Thank you so much, and we are loving you. We're sending you such positive energy, because what you're doing is pioneering the movement for us to get these systemic hiccups changed, removed, and improved. Leave a comment if you choose to. Share how you think about it. Again, we love you. Just know that whatever y'all are doing, we're doing with you. Take care.